Good morning, all. Welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. I'm Dana Dubois.
I'm Lawrence Winterman.
Lawrence, I'm so happy to have a day to just talk with you today.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. Hey team, I have fucked with my mic settings pretty significantly, and so hopefully this is better, and I am not too crispy or too hot or too whatever. Please be vocal and let me know in the chat. Cause yeah, I spent all this money on a fancy microphone, and it had better work.
I think it's okay if you're too whatever, though, because that's kind of part of the
I
show.
mean, right, that is our whole vibe after
It
all.
it is our whole vibe. Lawrence, best friend of mine, how was your birthday yesterday?
It was amazing, thanks to you and
Good.
Aiden Wharton, because
Oh
waking up
gosh,
and
that's
having that delightful surprise of just being celebrated by people that you love and care about.
yeah.
It feels pretty great. Like here's some breaking pharmacological news that feels good. When people you like tell you you're nice, it feels good. There
Yeah,
you
it
go.
felt good just like I put out a call for like send me some nice words about Lawrence, and I thought it would be kind of like a corporate birthday card, when people are like, "Hey man, glad to know it's your big day, happy birthday." But
Right.
people wrote really heartfelt, meaningful messages, and messages came in from people we've met all over the place over the last almost year of doing this show. So I got like a secondhand warmth just doing it. So I
Aw.
can.
All right. Carrie Rhodes says my mic is quieter than Dana's or other guests. So I'm experimenting. Carrie, maybe that's a little bit better. I just turned up the gain a tiny smidge. Uh, this is going to be a game we'll be playing this whole episode, I fear, because I am trying to figure out how to make this work. Maybe moving my mic closer. Anyway, I
I
know that's
can't tell
super
relative.
boring. Like, help us troubleshoot the technical details, but if
No,
we can
but
get
it's
this figured out,
it's been ongoing for a couple weeks, so I'm glad that we're taking it on. Jason says to leave the gain alone and try to turn up the volume in StreamYard.
um, so on StreamYard, there's a setting that basically says modulate my volume for me, and I have that turned on because that's kind of the recommended thing to do. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that's better, that's better, that's better, and a whole bunch of good mornings. So
Yay. Good
and
morning, everybody.
hearts.
And Marnie, thank you so much. That's a really sweet thing to say. I am the real deal. I don't know exactly what that means, but
I think I intuitively know what that means. If it means
right, we all know what that means, but also like if you ask me to define it, I'm not sure that I could define it. So
I'll define it as best friend for well over 4 decades.
yes, there you go.
And you are that for me, and I love you. So I'm glad you had a good birthday.
I love you too. It was really nice. To wake up to that was fantastic, and then it was sunny and 70 degrees with like a
Ooh.
perfect breeze here. It was seriously like it was like that Ray Bradbury story, right? All of summer in a day. Like after this cold, bleak winter, to
Oh,
suddenly have a summer day was kind of like, you know, roam around and like sing at the top of your lungs. And yeah, it was totally like the musical episode of Fort Wayne. You know, all of us were doing it. Everywhere you looked, people were
right.
bursting into song.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, and then I got to hang with my family, and it was a great day. It was a great day, so I loved it. Thank you.
Good. I'm
But
so glad.
today we get to talk about our latest writings, and both of us have pretty significant recent things that we've written.
True. And even more so, we each have, I almost want to say reinvention. Is that word too strong? We've
No,
both, we
yeah,
have
that's
both
real.
renamed and kind of reinvented who we are individually on Substack and as writers. And I think mine has been, I'm in week 5 now, so it's been a little while. Yours, I think you're starting your second week in, but
Uh,
we've had, Yeah.
First week, really. I mean, honestly, when you think about it,
Yeah.
my new cadence is an article every 5 days, and so yesterday was the fifth day, and I published a second article.
Good. God, has it only been 5 days? That's crazy. In my head, I was like, oh, it took Lawrence a little while to get to that, but I guess you're right. It has only been 5 days.
Yeah.
The days just feel very long in this timeline, but I think I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still not over this awful cold. Do not catch this season's whatever this is, because I'm almost 2 weeks in now, I think. And I think this is just my life now, Lawrence. I just can't breathe that well.
No, don't
Yeah.
say that.
I hope I'm on all the drugs, including the antibiotics, and it's getting better slowly. But I don't want to lament about that too much. Just to say, pardon me for any of the human noise interruptions that may come along as I'm talking. Yeah, I'm amused that we've both launched these really big things. And like, I'm starting to go on other folks' podcasts to talk about it, but we haven't talked about it on ours because we've had so many amazing guests. And that's so us to just be like, oh, no, 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 we can wait. We can wait. We have all these great people coming in. So I'm so glad we finally set aside a day to be like, let's talk about our stuff.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, you typing there? I hear you. I hear.
I'm typing. We had a troll on YouTube who said some
Ooh.
mean things, and I was like, goodbye forever.
Oh, did he tell me I was ugly and unfuckable?
No, he called you the R word.
Oh, not the racist R word, I
No,
guess.
no, no. The word that en français means late.
Mm, delightful.
Yes.
Delightful. It's so weird the pejoratives people pick where I'm like, really, you're insulting my intellect?
Right. Clearly, you
Okay.
don't know me. If you're insulting my intellect, you really literally have no idea who I
Like
am.
what was happening there that anyways, it's simply a pejorative. It
I mean,
was not
honestly,
tied to
like,
reality.
this dude joined and within a second basically posted that. I'm going to hypothesize that there was literally no actual thought on his part. Whatever like cell autonomic cell body reaction, like yeah.
Thank you for defending my honor. I believe whatever you put on YouTube, the comments come through on Facebook Live. Is that possible? Because I've seen like disembodied comments on Facebook Live that I
Yeah,
assume are
that's
coming
true.
from
If
YouTube.
if I respond in StreamYard, it does post to both places, which frankly I don't care about.
Yeah, that's fine. There's if anyone's out there on Facebook Live, hi. But usually there's nobody there. It's kind of a
Right.
it's a set and forget. But I don't know if any of you all are
One
still
day
using
our
Meta.
friends on Facebook will actually pay attention.
I know they don't pay any attention to us, but then Facebook stopped paying attention to me when I stopped paying attention to it
Yes,
because
well.
I came over here and just cause Meta. Blah, blah, blah. Lawrence asked me questions about my thing.
So,
I'm going to sit back and
yeah. Well, so, again, your latest piece, a beautiful piece of writing. Anyone
thank you.
who reads Dana knows that everything she writes is not just thought provoking, but beautifully written and really well constructed. You've absolutely, I think, become a master of the narrative arc of
Oh,
a memoir short story, as it were. But this one is really powerful because I know you, I know your
mhm.
kids, I know your dad, and so the story of you taking your girls to go spend 1 hour with your father at the memory care facility that he's in South Florida, um, like obviously I felt it really strongly and couldn't help but kind of compare, the dad that appears in that story to the dude that I knew when we were growing up, and
Who was
um,
what, Lawrence?
I mean, to quote the ladies from 9 to 5, he was a racist, misogynistic, homophobic, egotistical, lying son of a bitch. Right? Like,
Wow, deep cut, quoting 9 to 5.
I mean, uh, but literally, like that quote from 9 to 5 is sort of the perfect, cut and paste um, for people like Donald Trump and your dad, like men of that generation,
Yeah.
just the kind of abject sort of misery field that they created around themselves by being loud and obnoxious and misogynistic and, objectifying of women and all of it kind of combined together. And it's interesting, right? Because, I didn't like your dad when we were growing up. He was really hard to be around. And, and so to kind of read the story and kind of vibe with your kid who was obviously deeply uncomfortable in that situation, it, I thought you did a great job of representing the discomfort that everybody was feeling except your dad. Because men like that, even in his case now in a memory care facility and, obviously not being able to literally remember what he says from minute to minute,
Yeah.
I think men like that operate in the world with a general lack of shame and lack of awareness of the discomfort that they are forcing on other people. And so it was just a really like beautiful slice of life kind of analysis of that from this older you point of view and kind of imagining the dynamic of a Gen Z very sensitive sort of generation of like, my God, kids, you have no idea what it was like.
Yeah. As I
So,
was,
I
oh,
guess you do a great job of kind of showing how everybody's feeling in that moment. But what was it like to kind of live that experience? Like what was it like to have your daughters be in that incredibly uncomfortable situation?
um, oof, it was a lot of things, Lawrence. And I'm hoping, can I like back up a few steps and then answer that question?
Yeah,
It's our show. I can do whatever I want.
you can do whatever the
Um,
fuck you want.
are you able to share the screen? Are
Hmm.
you just a, not an image or anything, but I want to step back and talk about I write out loud for a moment in aggregate because
Yeah,
this
hang
is
on. Let me
I've never
actually prepare.
announced it on this show properly. Um, and to say I've been a memoirist now for almost 3 years online, writing personal essays that kind of all up span the experiences of my lived experiences as a Gen X woman, right? And what I came to find, there were two things that factored in to me entering 2026 and trying to figure out what the heck I was doing as a writer online. And one was that my work was scattered all over the internet on different publications, looked different. Even I didn't know where to find all of it together, and it didn't have a consistent look and feel. But the other one was not having focused on it for a whole year in 2025 as
Right.
we were all like dealing with year one of Trump v2. It felt really navel gazy to be like, here's my story about my dad, blah, blah, blah. And so as I entered 2026, we had a conversation on this show, Lawrence, where I got really angry of like, think of all the art and music and writing that's not happening right now
Yeah.
because we're all flipped out about what's happening with Trump for good reason. And we're all putting that creative energy into fighting that. And I haven't lost that fight. We're still going to be here every day. We're still going to be fighting against the wrongs, but also I don't want to lose my writing to that. And so I rebranded my individual Substack page and I'm calling it I Write Out Loud. And that inspiration actually came during my monthly coven sort of new moon woo Substack live I do with Karen Marie Shelton and Oceana Teffenhart. And I said,
Oceana, by the way, who shares my birthday,
yes, she
as
does.
does Dr. Eric Lulov and Shane
And Shane
Urich.
Urich. Yep, I know. There's so many good March 9th birthdays here on Substack. It's amazing. So happy birthday to you all. Mm. But during that live, I was talking about wanting to like really put my focus back on what I love doing the most and what I have to offer the world the most, I think, which is storytelling. And I said, I think I want to read, I want to have a home for my work, past and present. So I want to bring all of the old work that I've done together and also put out new essays. And when I post them, I want to read them out loud in my voice, not the AI voice.
Yeah.
And so I'm literally writing out loud with each of these stories. You can see, so I asked Lawrence to open this page because if you scroll down a little bit, Lawrence, there's like a really consistent look and feel per story. And I think I'm going to try to make it so there's more than three now that I have a whole bunch of them. And then it goes into the lives that go with each story. So with every story, I write it. I post it with this new hero image on top, so they really look the same.
Hmm.
I reread the story, so I read it in my own voice and I record it, and then I go live right after and I talk about the story and have a really great community conversation about what it means because my memoir writing doesn't live in a vacuum. It's
Right.
always talking about a broader cultural conversation. And that will bring us back to this essay. But my hope for this is that this is one of the ways that I am like taking an audacious act against authoritarianism is through storytelling, both by reclaiming the power of art and making sure it matters and is seen, but also because these stories are really digging into things um, that are culturally relevant during this political time. How's that?
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
God, whoever is signed into this account hasn't upgraded to paid, and that seems like a horrible, horrible oversight. So,
we'll talk
um,
about that, Lawrence. We could get that. Are you doing it right now? I see you're on the paid page.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, unless my credit card gets rejected.
mm, I hope not. And thank you, Lawrence. That's awfully sweet of you. What I will say is the
I'm
stories.
modeling good behavior.
You really are. Thank you. The what I will say is all of the stories and my oral readings of the stories and the podcast are above in front of the paywall because we work on the NPR model here. It's important for them to get out in the world, and I don't want there to be a barrier. But I do offer paid benefits. At the paid level, I have a Sunday salon where every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, for my paid subscribers, I go behind the scenes of the stories for that week and talk more about the culture and how it's impacted by these kinds of stories. I also tend to spill some tea. I was super sick this Sunday when I did mine. And the story was I gave my consent. He gave me Bruce's one, Lawrence.
Oh
And I
boy.
might have read the entire end of the text exchange with the guy in question live, never before seen air. As I was going through all my tissues, I'm a little embarrassed about it now, but it's still live for paid subscribers. And then, but really, those are very intimate gatherings, and they're really meaningful to me, and I hope to those who are there because we can
Oh,
really
and
get into
hey,
it.
if anyone
It's such a
wants
small group.
a free month, slide into my DMs and I'll
Ooh
gift
la
you
la,
a
Lawrence!
Dana Dubois Writes I Write Out Loud
I would
gift
love that.
subscription.
And at the founding member level, which is $88 because I like eights so much, um, you get a free individual session with me. I don't know about you, Lawrence. I'm starting to get a lot of inquiries about like, hey, can I meet with you to talk about writing or podcasting or editing or things like that? And I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I could do all of it. Um, I love when your kitties do that. But I can't. And so I'm offering that at the founding member level that you also get like a
Right.
whatever you want it to be for a session.
And a tote bag.
Yeah, and a Ginsu knife.
All right.
But wait, there's more.
But yeah, I was going more for NPR tote bag.
Oh,
But
and Pierre, you know what? I do want an I write out loud tote bag. We have to talk about that, Lawrence. That'd be so
yeah, there you
cute.
go. I can help. Uh,
Yeah. So
although,
that's
can
all the
I've
background.
been so overloaded lately.
I know we haven't even talked about, rebranding this. The
I know. Uh, uh,
this
you
is
should.
retro
Everyone
now.
should go run to Alpaca Lunch and buy a whatever mug because the burgundy ones are going to be classic collector items.
Yes, collect this when we do the behind the music episode. This will be invaluable, like priceless, really. You could put your kids through college on the value of one of these in 20 years.
Yeah, Jason Odell is saying Redbubble. Oh, Jason, we don't need Redbubble. We have Alpaca Lunch.
Lawrence does all his own, so
I have an entire website for merch, my friend.
yes, indeed, indeed. So to come back to this story, I'm going to open this back up. This is a brand new story. So a lot of, why is my mouse not working? There it is. A lot of these are revisiting older stories. And what I found in doing that, Lawrence, is that my stories together are forming bigger narrative arcs.
I mean,
And
for when your book of essays gets published.
so I just completed 8 essays that were all about dating reentry following
Mm,
the end of a very long-term relationship that started with the essay called I Had a Little Our Relationship, and going through the essay, I went boy sober for a month. And essentially, it took me through being really stable at the end of this relationship that I wanted to end and doing my own thing and having a great life, to trying to find a relationship and getting, but without enough. What's the word I'm looking for here? I wasn't careful with my heart, and so I didn't show good judgment along the way,
yeah,
I guess. And me being increasingly destabilized until I pull back and say, I'm going to go man sober for a month. And in doing that, ending up landing my first national byline by writing that story in today.com. So that's the end of that narrative arc. When I return to dating, I'm doing it with better tools like the burnt haystack dating method.
right.
Not that it's been idyllic since then, as you well know, as my best friend, but better tools. This week, this is the first essay in, it won't be 8 essays. It's either going to be 2 or 4. Um, and it's about, I'm calling this one parenting daughters in the Epstein era. And I'm not explicitly talking about Epstein very much,
Right. But
but it's,
it's the environs that we're in where men like Trump and, I mean, I'm not comparing your dad to Trump and Epstein, but,
I have compared him to Trump. It's okay.
well, I just mean in terms of like
Yes.
the magnitude of crimes
Oh,
that
yeah.
Epstein
No,
and
not
Trump
at
have
all.
committed. But,
Not
you
at
know,
all.
that
But
sort
it's,
of overall, people are asking how to DM me. I think you right click on my name and go to my profile and send me a message. That's it. Not particularly um, more into kind of challenging than that. It just Substack DMs are weird, right? Because you have to do
I've
it
had
one on
people
one.
message, yeah, I've had people message me before and say they couldn't DM you, come to think of it. I wonder if there's something weird about yours. If you can't DM Lawrence, DM me and I'll connect you.
Yeah.
So this story,
Oh, yeah. Actually, come to think of it, if you right click on the Daily Whatever show, that's different from me. Sort of, kind of, not completely yet, but whatever.
go to Lawrence's name specifically and then try to go to chat to
Yes,
write
do
him.
that. Go to my profile specifically.
Or you know what, you could just do it in the Daily Whatever chat as well, because we don't use that very often. I don't think you have to be a paid, or you may have to be a paid subscriber to start a new chat.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Maybe you
yeah,
should
I think
start
we
the
turn
chat
that
there
on.
and just say, put your email in. If
Anyway,
you,
so
so
in
this
this,
story,
yeah,
to come back, I do want to touch back on the Epstein idea of, I want to be clear, my dad is, to my knowledge, has never physically abused anyone, including me or my daughters, like not even a question. I would argue though that it's all on the same continuum of seeing young seeing girls' bodies, primarily for their physicality and their beauty,
right.
as their
Or exclusively for their
or
physicality
exclusive.
and their beauty. Yeah,
Yes, and not really valuing anything else about them. And the way that that has manifested in my dad and in this essay is when well, I didn't put this in the essay. This will be in a future one. Both times when I called him after my, ultrasound amnio appointments and said, it's a girl, there was disappointment.
right,
The first time I think he was like, oh yeah, sometimes that's the way it happens. You get the girl and then the boy, which is what happened to him because I have a younger brother. And I'm like, what? And the
right.
second time he actually just said, I was hoping for a boy. And
Yeah,
I wish my answer had been, I was hoping you would keep your mouth shut for once, but I didn't. I just laughed and was like, I was so happy I was having 2 girls. I didn't care.
yeah,
And 2 healthy babies. But the way it manifests now that they're alive and here is always commenting on how they look or who their boyfriend is or who they're going to marry. Because
Right.
and I
Or
don't
very
think it's,
grossly, as you mentioned in the article, if they're going
yeah,
to share boyfriends, like
yeah,
that was
that
such
was
an ick moment
unusual.
in the story.
It was. And most of his comments weren't like that, but there were always wild cards, both for me and for my kids. He would just say, and the weird thing is, like, I don't think it's coming from a place of harm. I think it's coming from a place of like, that's all he knows about little girls is to comment on how they look. There's no inquiry to try to get to know them better or to be like, what are you reading right now? What are you into at school? What do you like to do for fun? Like simple human questions that like a normal person would know how to ask. I just don't think he ever got those tools. And I'm not excusing the behavior, although I guess I am a little. And so when I write an essay, my very favorite kinds of essays like this are ones that aren't black and white on purpose
Hmm.
and where I'm neither trying to justify myself or admonish myself. I'm walking somewhere in the middle and I'm trying to relay a story and let the reader take away what they will. What's interesting about this one is that it's quite recent and I'm still not sure if I did the right thing. And I don't generally leave essays like this. I'm actually not reading the chat, but I'm going to click back and forth here because if you all have read this, which I know I just published it, but excuse me, I would love to hear your thoughts because to the chat. I suspect a lot of this will be generational. It only just went live on Substack. It's been live on Medium for a few days because it got a boost. Yay!
Yay.
It did really well the first day, and now nobody's reading it because Medium algorithms, who knows what they're doing. But it did get some comments. And what happened was we go to Florida for midwinter break. We stay with my mom, who, knock on wood, is in great health and fun. And we went to the beach, we went out to dinner, we went to pools, all the things. Beautiful weather in South Florida. But I always do go visit my dad to check in on him. And I've explored this in other essays. He won't remember we've been there. So I'm doing this for me
Right.
in large part. I'm doing it
Right.
for him in the moment, but I'm doing it for me because I feel like I have to. Whatever misgivings I have about him, I long ago decided not to cut him off and to keep him in my life, but at a distance,
Right.
and to care for him from that distance. So
Yeah.
I
I
outline
will
it in
admit,
the
over the course of our friendship, there have been many times where I'm like, girl, why aren't you just telling him to fuck off and never talk to him again?
uh-huh.
Like he's unpleasant.
He was a lot more unpleasant than he is now.
Yeah.
Those days are, I mean, he truly was a bully. And now that he has dementia, it has pulled that off. It's so wild. And now all that's left is that scared little boy who the bully was protecting. And he sees me and he's like, have I done something wrong? What did I do wrong? Like he would be horrified if I had jumped in and maybe I should have and been like, you're making Ainsley uncomfortable. He would be mortified, but he wouldn't remember and he'd do it again.
Right. Right.
So the story is talking about like someone who in the ephemera of their brain, like they can't hold anything. Um, but what's interesting is my children always, generally, they come with me to Florida in February, and I do one trip by myself later in the year. And we always go visit him, and it's never fun, but it's fine. It's never been an unsafe or um, anything beyond like kind of the ick, but we laugh about it together.
Yeah.
And this year, my eldest really didn't want to go. And like a whole day before, started almost campaigning, by being quite sullen and saying she was worried about it. And I'm like, I legit was just like, I don't understand what you're worried about. And I tried to probe around it, like maybe something happened to her. But I concluded, and I think it's accurate. I'm being quiet because they're upstairs. But I was like, I think this is behavior, and she just doesn't want to go. And my value, put a pin in that, is that we need to show up even when things are hard.
Right.
This is family. We get there, and I never quite know what my dad is going to perseverate on. The last essay I wrote, my kids weren't there, and I kept talking about how Ainsley could drive now, and every time he would be like, She can drive now. She can drive now. That was the perseveration. This one, it was just about both how beautiful my daughters were, but specifically how my eldest one could be a model.
Right.
Of note, never said the younger one could be a model, which dick move on all counts.
Yeah.
Um, and what's funny that is also in this essay is it was my second visit this trip. The first visit I went by myself, and he had a new house or like suite mate in his room who was also his table mate at breakfast. And this guy was really low functioning. I talked about him that day on the Daily Whatever show. For those of
Yeah.
you who were here, he could barely, like, he was just kind of grunting and drooling and did not seem to be with it at all. And then suddenly, like dead at me, starts staring and chanting really loudly, "Big melons!" Like talking about my boobs in front of my dad, who is totally gnawing on his sausage and not paying any attention. And I nearly like just pop off on this guy. But then I just see this drool coming down, and I'm
Mm,
like,
gross.
yeah,
By
we're
the
gonna
way,
just
I'm a
leave.
hero for not making a gnawing on his sausage joke, so I just
I
wanted
it's
you to know.
it's intentional, and I put it in the essay intentionally.
I oh, believe me, I read it and I was like, you you evil temptress, you were trying to get me to make a joke.
I know I couldn't resist, but so I have already demonstrated this ecosystem. I call it the weather in the story of like
Yeah.
this dude is trying to get my dad's attention to be like in his own like barely there like half dead drooling mess is still sexually harassing me and trying to get the other man nearby to chime in.
Yeah.
It's omnipresent, right? And so while
I
we
actually I really loved that you called it the weather because that is not a metaphor or analogy that I'd heard used before as a way of kind of describing the way that cis straight men who are misogynistic tend to create a little ecosystem of misogyny around them shared by the other men. It is like a weather system. And the
yeah,
more men there are, the more the stronger that weather
stormier.
system.
Yeah, and it sometimes it may just sometimes I guess it could feel sunny, but generally it's not a pleasant weather system, but like eh, sometimes it's misty, sometimes you're in a thunderstorm or a blizzard if you're
Sometimes it's a
unsafe,
hurricane.
right? But this was just misty. And so fast forward a few days, I dragged my children in there, and this is what my dad is perseverating on. You're so beautiful. And I'm watching as my eldest is just like shrinking in on herself and really uncomfortable. And just very, what made it a really big shift, Lawrence, is that in the past, the three of us are kind of together, right? We're looking at each other and we're just like, the ick, the eye roll. And my youngest and I are doing that. But my eldest has aligned me with my dad on the
Right.
bad team. I couldn't share it with the story for obvious reasons, but we did take photos together. I always do. And I sometimes print one out and send it to my dad. And in this year's, my eldest is standing like this,
Oh, that's
literally.
heartbreaking.
It is. And so, what the story is exploring, and what I'm still asking myself is wow, as a Gen X woman, my advice and the way I've handled this is always I always have multiple layers. And sometimes I put on the hat and the raincoat or the umbrella and I forge through the goddamn storm.
Right.
And I have weathered it. The phrase that ended up getting cut from the essay, and I'm regretting it a little, maybe it'll go on a note, is kid, I endured the ocean. You can handle a splash.
Right.
It's an hour. Sit down and pay your respects to this guy. And in my mind, because my value is that I have chosen to continue to show up. I don't think if he had been worse, if there had been physical abuse, if the verbal abuse had been ongoing and worse, and if I felt like my children were at real risk, I absolutely could have cut this man off. I've just never quite felt he's hit that bar. And I think I've understood the trauma he endured as a kid
Right.
enough. It would be harder to cut off. It's easier to benign neglect for me.
Right. Right.
And it also is an answer I can live with for me.
Yeah.
At what point do my children no longer become extensions of me and children I'm instilling, but people who get to decide, women who can decide that on their own? I mean, my eldest just turned 18. This was her first visit as a legal adult.
Yeah.
What happens now? Is she allowed to opt out?
I mean, I think the answer is yes, that, in future visits, she's allowed to opt out. But I know that you struggled with, like, am I the bad guy for making her go do this? And I absolutely do not think so. I think that, um, you
Thank
know,
you.
there is an element of, hey, kid, you got to show up for your family, like it's 1 hour and you are in a situation where you are not truly in harm's way. If there had been a comment that was so egregious that it was worthy of, you know, leaving, you would have left, right? That wouldn't
Right.
have been a question. And so, yeah, I guess I'm just, I love Gen Z and I love their perspective on things, and I love that they are so sensitive to the nuance. It feels like it feels like we're kind of, I'm going to say we're raising, not me personally, but the Gen Z generation is, a bunch of highly sensitive people, and I totally vibe with that. And I get it. And I appreciate that they're unwilling to leave certain things unspoken. That's great. And also, you can go spend an hour with your grandfather because you're probably never going to see him again, right? Like,
One
he's
of these
not
visits will be the
gonna live
last one.
forever. And
Yeah.
who knows, between now and next year. And, if she chooses to never go again, great. You had one last visit. It is very sad that you will remember him as how he presented, except that that is probably the nicest presentation of him
Yes.
that has been available for the last 80, 70 plus years. So,
Oh no, he's 81 now. So 80
yeah,
was.
for I don't know. Let's assume that maybe he was an okay kid until he was like 13, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel like she did it. She was there. Was she uncomfortable? Yes. Will she remember that forever? Probably yes. Unpleasantly, sure. But she will have a memory of her grandfather, and if anything, it's going to help her be empathetic towards you, because at some point when you say, like, hey, this is, triggering how I remember my dad, or, like, I'm mourning him, but it's obviously complicated, or whatever, I
Yeah.
think there's going to be better empathy there.
Yeah, I know that the idea of cutting off parents, Oprah made that comment a month ago now or so. It was just like horrified and how could it happen? That's certainly a generational thing. Like you only have to go a generation before ours where like spanking and, caning, whipping was like normal.
Yeah,
I was not spanked. I don't, thankfully, like that was already coming out of vogue
yeah.
when we were being raised.
We were. My
Um,
sister and I were.
oh, were you? Okay.
I mean, not,
Uh,
it
not
happened a
frequent.
couple of times, and it was
Right.
the total
The
uh, threat of it was worse than the actual experience kind of thing, right?
I was threatened with it actually. I do remember my mom saying things like when dad gets home, he's going to get the belt. I do remember that. Um, but the idea of cutting off one's parent was completely off the table. Completely off the table. And I'm probably going to get flamed for this. I do think because it has become such a norm or such a cultural conversation, let's say, that there are people who, if I were younger, I probably would have cut my dad off when I was younger. And I think I'd regret it now. So um, I guess like to me, one of the interesting like pivots around this essay is like the wisdom of age versus the wisdom of youth,
Mm-hmm.
and where do they meet? Um, I mean, Gen X women, when we were girls, were certainly growing up within like a profoundly misogynistic culture, but one that felt a little less evil is the word coming to mind. That might not quite be right. it was different than growing up watching the most powerful men in the world appearing again and again and again in these files
Yeah.
and seeing no consequences for them.
Yeah.
Coming of age while watching, not that my kids are news junkies, but they're aware that this is happening, and um the anger, the powerlessness of that, the recognition that like if anything happens to them, like good luck, babe. Like if it's someone who is powerful, there will likely be no consequences, is the takeaway.
Yeah.
That does make me want to be like, you know what, if you need to, think locally and in your own family, not do that. I get it. And I realize we were supposed to talk about both of our things today and we're getting a little bit late and
Well,
um
let's transition. So what's your final thought?
my final thought, please read this essay. I think this one has a lot of I think this one has a lot of power to it because I mean some of the comments on Medium, people are telling me that I'm abusive and neglectful. And
Absolutely wrong.
I
Like I
think,
fuck that. Fuck those people.
thank you.
Fuck them 6 ways from Sunday with a chainsaw. No.
Well, here's an interesting fact that brings up, Lawrence, of like we are becoming the elders. And I remember us mocking, we've mocked boomers, but mocking people older than us and being like, they just don't get it and blah, blah, blah. Like the youth dictate the norms. And like over time, I am
Sure, but
sure
not
that
yet.
not yet, though. We're still holding on.
I'm
I
no, fuck that. We've got at least 15 years. Absolutely not. I don't buy it. Not even for a second.
I appreciate you, Lawrence. I love you. You know that there's no intent like that in my heart for my kids. But I would welcome you all to read this. If you would restack it or comment or like or engage with it on Substack, that signals to Substack that people like it, and perhaps it will be seen by more people, which would be the best gift ever. I will be going live tomorrow. At what time tomorrow? 4 p.m. No, wait. Be doing math in my head. 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific to talk about this essay. And that is available and open to all. I would love if you would come join my live. I'll schedule it right today, so you'll see it if you're following me. Subscribe to me, and I'd love to like I do a lot of reading back of all the comments so that it's really a conversation. And then on Sunday I'll dive in a bit deeper as well. So for paid subscribers, which if you are not already a paid subscriber, I would welcome your subscription. And if you'd like a free month, it sounds like Lawrence is willing
Right.
to
DM
gift you
me.
one now.
Yeah. Um,
Lawrence, let's
okay.
talk about the
Well, in
Hinge
our
next.
remaining 13 minutes.
Yes, we're going to talk about yours again. I think I want us to keep coming back and talking about our work here because this work is important and I know we can't fully dive in. We talked about this a little bit last week when we were short a guest before Walter came on. Uh, and became our guest spontaneously. But would you rather talk about what the Hinge is, or do you want to talk about the essay that published today? Because
um,
Lawrence has a great new essay up today.
I mean, I can do both. Yeah, it came out yesterday, and so basically, I've taken what was previously called Lawrence Winterman science fiction, and I already put a link in the chat.
Oh,
Um,
great. You know, I was
and
going to grab that. I'm
I
still going
have
to go
just kind
grab
of
it.
renamed it Lawrence Winterman. And the idea is, and I've created kind of two subsections on it. One is called the hinge, and one is called the near field. And that may be complicated for some people, but I don't care.
This is very
And
brainy, I will say, Lawrence. Like, this is not for the faint of heart, what you're doing here. And I
yeah,
love that.
like
The
I
gifted
think
kid
that
thing.
one of, we have talked about how our skills as writers, and I think as people, is we connect the dots that maybe other people don't connect. And the idea of the hinge is I am looking at things that are trends that are things that I think maybe people who call themselves futurists would look at the way that
Hmm.
various forces in science and technology and politics and culture and society writ large and geopolitics, how all of those things are connecting together and how some of them are connecting together in these kind of mega forces that I'm calling hinges, right? So we talk a lot about Hinge moments, and my
Mhm.
kind of theory of the case is that we are experiencing more Hinge moments than any previous generation because so many things are accelerating and happening simultaneously or near simultaneously that we're
Yeah.
kind of going from hinge to hinge to hinge. And so the way that I have constructed this is I will be writing triptychs. So sets of 3 essays together. And so right now I'm in triptych 1. And hinge number 1 for that triptych was about how acceleration of our society, of information, of communication, has really disempowered Congress. The Article 1 power in the Constitution that is supposed to handle declarations of war. And and the trend over 70 years has been to move more and more war making power into the executive branch because it's just one guy, and
Right.
the executive is able to move with more speed. And
Yes.
some of that has been intentional. Much of it has not been intentional. It's just
Yeah.
an artifact of what has been happening. And it's gotten us to the moment where last week, or a week and a half ago at this point, Trump declared war against Iran, right? A thing that
Yes,
shouldn't
he
be
did.
possible, a sentence that should not exist. Because even though Congress has war declaration powers, they haven't actually done that. Trump should never have said he didn't say I'm declaring war, but he said we're at war with Iran, which is a thing that shouldn't be
Right.
possible.
And then people
And
were like, well, it's not really war,
right, it's not really
just
war.
like
It's an
war
enhanced
like.
security action. Fuck you. We're at war. The networks are calling it a war. We're all calling it the Iran war. We all knew it was going to happen because they were telegraphing their fucking movements. You can't move battleships and fleets without people noticing. And so, just kind of calling a spade, Hinge 1 is the executive has become the war making branch of our government. And that is
Yeah.
not okay. And that should not continue. And then Hinge number 2 is different. Hinge number 2 is that acceleration in war machining is reducing the amount of time that it takes to kill people, right? And so this is a trend that has existed in
Yeah.
warfare forever. That military technology is always about how to kill more people more effectively, faster, at longer range. Like that, if you want to sum up the history
Yeah.
of warfare, it is that. It is, we
Yeah.
are, as a species, particularly good at innovating around war, and we are always looking for ways to kill more people faster at longer range. And what's happening is that is all accelerating as well. And so for Hinge 2, I'm exploring this idea that on January 10th of 2024, OpenAI, who makes ChatGPT, and you spoke very eloquently
Wait,
about the
20
need to shift from
did
ChatGPT to
yeah.
Anthropic to Claude.
Did you just say 2024?
It was 2024.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Keep going.
on January 10th of 2024, OpenAI removed the language from their mission statement, from their usage policies that said that they would not work with the military or the Department of Defense, right? They just quietly sort of removed that. And now, 2 years later, what we have is a situation where the military, the Department of Defense, I refuse to call it the Department of War, fuck you, Pete Hegseth. Uh, no, literally, call me. Um, the Department of Defense basically wanted to force Anthropic to use their AI, their large language models, in war machining, right? In the ability to make faster decisions about
Yeah.
who to kill and how to kill. And in the essay, I explore Project Lavender, which is something that the Israeli army has been using in Gaza, which essentially
Mm.
profiles, um, it profiled Palestinian men. And if they scored greater than 90 or greater on the profile, it meant that they were officially a target for death. And so things like that are being built into war machining. And with the advent of AI, we are now getting to a point where there will no longer be a human in the loop. And one of the big hinge points in history that I focus
Terrifying.
on in the article is um, an event called the Petrov event. On September 26th of 1983, there was a guy in the Russian military at a Soviet monitoring station, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov, and he was alerted that there was a launch from the United States, first one, and then four more, five incoming, what appeared to be launch vehicles, ICBMs, against the Soviet Union from the United States. And what
Okay.
Petrov did is he said, I think this is a false alarm. And he did not send it up the chain of command, which would have almost certainly triggered a Soviet response, which then would have been wrong because Petrov was right. It was the glistening of sunlight off of clouds and not a real launch. And so,
Oh
what
my God,
Petrov
serious
did on that day is
clouds.
he saved the entire world because he hesitated. And we're entering a time now where decision making between the actual moment of targeting and firing a weapon and killing somebody has compressed so much that the military commanders of the Israeli Defense Forces who were using this Project Lavender profiling had 20 seconds to make the decision. You know, if a dude popped up within their field of vision and was targeted and had greater than 90 on this scoring index, they had 20 seconds to decide whether or not to press the button or pull the trigger. And we can be sure that most of them pulled the trigger because they saw a score of 90 or 91 or 93 or maybe 89, and that was close enough. And they pulled the trigger and killed these people. And the idea is we are removing the human from the loop. And so story number 3 in the triptych is going to be the first near field. And so the first two are hinges. The third one is a near field. And what I mean there is I'm going to be writing the future
Yes.
where I look at a plausible scenario that combines these two hinges together, right? The removal of war making authority from the Article 1 congressional, kind of it's been delegated to Congress in the Constitution into the executive, and then also the combination of the removal of really any human in the loop and real human decision making in war making. What does it look like in a world where those two things are real? And so it's going to be speculative fiction. I think it's going to be compelling. I don't know how it's going to turn out yet. I'm drafting the story, but I have ideas, and it's scaring me. And I think that this is a world that we're entering. We're right on the threshold if we aren't already there. And so that's the point of what I'm pursuing in my long form writing now is I want to be looking around the corner at hinge variables and hinge moments like this, and then I want to use my science fictionery to actually craft little vignettes of what it looks like when these things are happening in the world together.
I think this is the coolest project, Lawrence. Like over these past few months, I have been like on the side telling Lawrence, like, please write again. We miss your science fiction. Longtime fans of the Daily Whatever show will remember when Lawrence was reading his serialized science fiction.
Yeah.
You as well got caught up in fighting this regime last year and focusing on this show as a means of elevating voices who are fighting. And I think we both agree, like, that's going to keep going. We want to do that.
Yeah.
But I love what you just said kind of at the start of we're both connecting the dots um, because that's how our brains work. We see patterns.
Right.
And once the pattern recognition is there, it's clear. I'm doing it through memoir writing. You're doing it through sort of historical investigative journalism for the
Yeah.
first
I mean,
two,
yeah.
sort of. or at least like expository writing, and then taking those two together and writing a piece of speculative fiction of like X plus Y is clearly going to lead to Z. Um, so we get to see your creative mind at work, forecasting like if we don't do something, this is likely where we're going to end up.
Right.
Speculative fiction has always felt to me very like, "Oh, that could never happen." Like The Handmaid's Tale, when I read it back in the
Right.
day, was like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And now, how do you write? We've talked about how do you write science fiction or speculative fiction when real life is so crazy? You're like,
Yeah.
here's how.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to say, Musings is saying in the chat that they missed the novel, and it's inspiring me to continue to publish the novel, right? Because in my mind, these are all connected. Like what I'm doing now is I'm kind of showing you the math, right? Because what got me to write the novel in the first place was the fact that this is just the way my brain works. I see these patterns and trends and connect the dots, and that's what makes me think science fiction or speculative fiction. And so, my Shattered World series is still in the works, and there was a big long pause between chapter 6 and chapter 7. I will be posting more chapters from that series in the very near future. So it's, if you like the story and you like the characters, please keep reading. There's just sort of greater incentive now for me to kind of write, and I don't know, I get to show off more of my skills, I think, is the way that I would put it. So,
I agree. And it's a way of taking your political junkie tendencies and use them for good in your creative fiction. Like
yeah. Yeah.
you
And,
are so good at synthesizing what's happening right now. Sorry, I cut you off, but
no, that's okay.
synthesizing what's happening right now and putting it in historical context and then extrapolating that to what could happen. Like this is just genius that you've pulled it all together and named. I love the name The Hinge too. Like, can you? I know we're at the top of the hour. Why The Hinge?
Uh, I mean, it's because of these hinge moments, right? Because, we talk about hinge moments in history where things could swing one way or the other.
Mm,
And the thing that I've been saying for a while now is that these more of them are happening, right? And they're happening closer together. And it's not just like it's not your perception, it's not a false perception, everyone. Like these are happening more and closer together because everything is accelerating. Like the pace of our lives, the pace of technological innovation.
yeah,
There used to be epochs between industrial revolutions, right? Like
right.
the industrial revolution of machining, and then the steam engine, and up through computers and the internet, and they're all happening faster, right? Like we in our lives in Gen X have seen the rise of the computer, the rise of the internet, the rise of mobile telephony, which is essentially mobile supercomputing,
Yeah.
and the synthesis of all of those things together. Now we're seeing the rise of AI. All these are all going to start happening faster and faster until we are at a point of nearly continuous industrial revolution. That is happening in our lifetimes as Gen Xers. If you look at
Yeah.
your kids, they are going to see even more industrial revolutions than we have seen in our lifetimes.
Oh
It
my
is
God.
going to be dizzying. And, I
Either
think this is
that,
a, huh?
sorry, they're going to be in caves.
Right. Or they're going to be in caves, right? Or we're, yeah, going to nuke ourselves back into the Stone Age. So, yeah, that's the premise.
Yeah. Lawrence, yeah, I love to say to people, because I'm a time traveler, and you probably feel the same way too, that like I know a lot of people who are quite a bit younger than I am who feel like my peers and are my friends, but I do sometimes just like to drop on them like, I had a typewriter in college.
Right.
I wrote my college papers on a freaking typewriter. Um, the amount of growth we have seen and kept up with is staggering. I was just having a conversation last night with a friend. we're both sort of in like these career moments of like, and where AI is falling into all of that, and this
Yeah,
sense of like, do I have another big push? Have I
right.
got it in me on a corporate level to be like, dude, I'm tired.
Yeah,
I'm just tired. And um, not that it's avoidable. I mean, you don't have to be working for a corporation to have to be keeping up with learning at this pace, but my God, you're correct. The pace at which we're going to be making all decisions, including military ones, actually, it won't be us making decisions. It'll be us keeping up with the consequences of the decisions.
right. And kind of the at the end of this article, you know, there's sort of a question of how do you do congressional oversight on AI decision making when plausibly no one could be held accountable for a disaster, right? Where
Right?
even if you could call the president into a congressional hearing to answer for some, action gone horribly wrong, who would be held responsible? The AI company, the programmers of the large language model, the folks in the Pentagon who integrated AI into the algorithm itself. Who? Nobody. Like everybody and nobody. We all know from history when everybody's to blame, nobody is to
Nobody's to
blame.
blame.
So
Oh my
that's my
God. Well,
premise.
I'm dreading this future, but I'm eagerly looking forward to 5 days from now to read your speculative fiction about it. And I have to say, it is a boss move that you published the first two without the third one being done. My hat
Oh.
is off to you.
Isn't that how you do it?
No.
When you're writing them, don't you have to think of I mean, like I know roughly what it's going to be. I just get
Yeah.
to experience the adventure of writing something where I've given myself parameters, and now I'm writing a story that fits those parameters, and that for me is fun. Like I'm the kind of fool that thinks pantsing it like that is fun. So,
I know. And I'm the kind of fool who's like, but the muse might not come in 5 days. I might
oh
need
yeah,
more time
you
for
know me,
this.
my muse, my muse,
She's
they're
kicking,
gonna
they're
show up no
kicking
matter
you.
what I do.
Right. They're going to just keep kicking you in the head.
Yeah,
Um, I envy you your muse because I don't actually have a muse. I just have to
right.
go and
She
keep
she
doing it.
says when she actually does.
Do I have a muse? I,
We're just
where?
gonna laugh at that, everybody. It's cute when Dana pretends not to be self-aware.
I don't, but I don't have a muse like I don't have an external voice that comes to me and is like,
Okay.
do this. I wish I did. That'd be really cool. Show up and plunk ideas in my lap, but maybe I am my own muse. Ooh. I've had
Ooh.
a I've had a story I have been trying to write for months, Lawrence, and I think this is gonna be my next essay if I can get through it. But it's about this is why I texted you for a quote this week. The idea of avoidant men and avoidant attached men and anxious attached women,
Mm-hmm.
and how that's like everywhere in the culture right now. And I just want to be like, girl,
Yes,
you're not anxious attachment. He's just a dick.
yeah.
But in higher
Dana was like,
elevated
I need a
language.
quote, and like basically say what you said before. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, most women, the vast majority of women are not anxiously attached. And if they act like they are, it's only because straight men are such
Yes.
fucking dicks that they
We're
have trained women to be.
yeah, we're just anxious. There's a very big difference between being
Right,
anxious and
right.
anxiously
Hey, when
attached.
you don't text or call, and when you cheat, and when you lie, and when you ghost and do all of those ridiculous behaviors,
Yes.
people are going to start to become anxious that maybe
Right.
no one will ever fucking stand up and show up and be there for the yeah.
Right.
Congratulations, straight men. You've trained all of women worldwide to
Right.
be anxiously attached.
And the more it happens, the more
Right.
pattern
And the more
recognition
right, the more it
happens,
happens, the more it's
the more
reinforced. So
we're
when
hyper vigilant. Yeah.
cis straight men say things like, "Baby, I
Oh,
think you need to work on your anxious attachment disorder." Fuck you. You
hey,
did this to me. I learned it from watching you.
right. And by you, I mean all of you.
Right. And by
Um,
you, I mean all straight men everywhere.
See, if you were in Seattle, I would be
And
like,
here's the
come
thing, not
over.
just straight men. Gay men do this to each other too.
So men in
Men,
general.
men, men just
I
suck.
That actually makes a lot of sense to me because women are trained culturally to try to fix things and to assume the fault is ours. And so we look at our half of the equation of like, why am I so anxious? As
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, maybe it's and I think younger generations have a tendency to make it part of their identity. I have an anxious attachment style. It's part of me. It's part of my identity versus just I'm dealing with anxiety right now. I'm anxious about this situation, and
Right.
the difference between it being part of who you are versus situational. This is a normal response to both the man you're dating and the multitude of experiences you've had before it. I can't get through this essay though, Lawrence. I need you. See, if you were here in Seattle, I'd be like, I'm coming to your house. I'm sitting down with my laptop and we're going to talk about this until the stupid essay's written. But
Yeah.
it's okay. It's not part of this week's narrative arc, which those will be stories I've published
We are
before.
so over,
We're so
but
over. It's because I love you and I could talk to you forever.
yes.
Thank
Thanks
you guys
everyone for
all.
being here. This was really fun. Who have we got tomorrow, Dana?
KR Byers is coming back, and
Oh
this
my
time it's
God,
actually
we love
him.
KR. He's so much fun.
We do. And last time we scheduled him, we had a big scheduling snafu and we accidentally scheduled Dash from the halfway camp. We invited the wrong guy. And so we ended up
But
having them both.
we had a blast. We had a
We
super
did.
fun time.
We did. But I was like, KR, come back. So um this is KR's singular appearance here
KR,
on
come
our show.
back. Any kind of
Any kind of
fool
fool
could
could
see.
see there was something.
Yeah,
I
see. I
can't
knew
quit.
Dana would remember all the lyrics. I just remember like
Everything
two
about
lines.
you. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, Player. That's that band. I love Baby Come Back. That is like top soft rock song of all time, like top five probably on my soft rock favorite list, which is a very long list. We have a great lineup for the rest of the week. For Fine Feminists on Thursday, I have Dr. Amber Hull coming,
Ooh, yes, Dr.
and
Hull.
I think we're going to talk a bit about low libido, specifically medically for women and treatments that are
Low
available.
libido. I know her.
And Friday, we have Rachel from This Woman Votes returning to the show
Oh my
for a
God, yes.
Fucked Up
She's
Friday.
so brilliant. I adore
So
her.
brilliant. And she's been on before, but I think this is her first Fucked Up Friday. So we better bring our
Yeah,
A game because she's
yeah.
going to show
Oh,
up.
she's gonna destroy us.
She's going to wipe the floor. Yeah.
She's
But I'm
gonna
going to
drop some
try.
like meta, like situational bomb, and we're gonna be like, yeah, no,
Yes.
clearly you win.
She's going to say epistemic, and we're going to be like, that's it. We're done.
Right, you win.
Okay. But I'm going
All
to
right,
fight for it. I don't know what my story will be yet, but we have plenty of time for more horrors this week that
right.
could be in Fucked
You
Up
know,
Friday.
could it be Trump declaring the war is over because he saw oil prices skyrocketing and the market collapsing, and then later that night he took it back because he,
That didn't
because
happen.
he, huh?
Did this happen? Have
This
I
literally
missed?
happened yesterday. The markets rallied yesterday because Trump said, "Oh, the Iran war is complete,
Oh my
mostly."
God. I've been like, because of
Yeah,
my
no,
cold.
literally, he said,
Oh my
um,
God.
like the war is mostly over, essentially, and the markets rallied, and oil dropped suddenly because it was skyrocketing. And
Yeah, I
then
saw it was at like
after the markets
110.
had closed, and after most of the news cycle was over, last night he said, or not, we have a lot of big objectives we still need to complete.
Oh my
He also
God.
said, by the way, that the war would be over when him and Netanyahu decided it was over. Not him and Netanyahu. So there you go. He lied
Um,
to prevent a market collapse because everyone knew. Yeah, I mean, we could
it's
go
up
on the whole
today.
thing.
Yeah,
Like we
I'm
can't replace our munitions because the Chinese control the rare earth refined rare earth market, which means every time we use a very expensive bomb or drone or missile, we can't actually build a replacement. And Iran, who has known this was coming for a very long time, has stockpiled so many dumb bombs and missiles that they basically can't run out. So they know all they need to do is keep bombing us in Israel to the point where we have run out of munitions and can't build more, and then they can keep bombing and they win. Or they keep the Strait of Hormuz closed for long enough that global oil prices skyrocket to the point that our bond market collapses, which then means our stock market will collapse, which then means the AI bubble bursts, which then means we are in a depression. Because
And the bots.
Iran
Yeah.
is playing chess, and they've actually thought about how to live through this, and we are playing tic tac toe,
I was
and we're
just gonna
losing.
say tic-tac-toe. I thought you were gonna say checkers, and in my head I was
Not
like, it's
even
actually
checkers.
so dumb. It's tic-tac-toe.
Right.
Oh my God,
It's
Lawrence,
not even checkers.
this should be your next triptych because that was
I
brilliant.
mean, yeah.
Go
I,
grab that transcript.
I'm
That's
previewing this. Oh, it's all I got it.
yeah.
I'm already half writing it.
Oh,
Anyway, now we're really over. We should let these people go.
I need to go. Excuse me, go say hi to my kids and get them off to school. So love you, mean it, everybody. Thank you for
Love you, Mina.
sticking with us.
Bye.
Mwah,
Mwah.
bye.